Hello, Chad here from Chibi AI, and in this video I want to introduce you to something I've been working on. I know it's been a little while since I've been active here in YouTube. My apologies for that. I do plan to post more frequently soon. But I've been a little busy working on something for you, and I think you're really going to like it. Soon I'm launching a new app called Koubou, like you see right here. It's the Japanese word for workbench, and that's exactly what it is. You get an empty workbench when you first log in, after onboarding, of course. And then from there, you open the toolbox. In the toolbox are a bunch of tools that you can add to your workbench. And over time, there will be many, many more tools added into this toolbox. The really cool thing about that is that your workbench is only filled with the tools that you want to use at any given time. There's no clutter. There could be hundreds of tools in the toolbox, but it doesn't matter because the workbench your workbench is only filled with the tools that you actually want to use. And the really cool thing about this concept is that it keeps things clean while also allowing me to create kind of any tool that brings value to you. Gone are the days of trying to figure out how to make something fit within the UI of the app, because Koubou is kind of designed specifically to handle that. And that means that every tool I create gets its own bespoke UI. And that's important because if the UI fits the function of what that tool is meant to do for you, it makes it so much easier to use and you get better results. Okay, enough chit chat about Koubou. Let's dive in and take a look. This right here is what you would see when you first join Koubou and you get through the onboarding. Yep, it's an empty workbench. Just like I said, you get to add tools to your workbench, and those are available over here in the toolbox. Inside of here right now at launch, or what the upcoming launch that's coming soon, we have these tools available. I'm going to go ahead and add the personas tool to my workbench. Oh, real quick about the toolbox. You notice we've got green dots right here. That means that you meet the criteria for adding this to your workbench. In this case, all of these tools are using OpenRouter for AI integration, and so your OpenRouter account should be connected in order for this tool to be available for you. Luckily, during the onboarding, the OpenRouter connection is made, so you'll have all these tools available when you first connect. In the future, there might be tools that require other things. At this point, we don't have any, but in the future there might be. And in that case, you might see a red little light here. That just means go into your account settings and update some information, maybe provide another API key or something like that. And then the tool will become available for you to use. So this personas tool is pretty cool. And I just want to show this one off because it's one of the most popular ones with the early beta testers who are checking out Koubou now. And in here, what it does is it lets you create personas that represent something that you need represented. Maybe if you're a marketer, you might represent your target audience. If you're a fiction writer, you might have personas that represent characters in your story, things like that. And this UI gives you this 3-pane look. And it's really kind of smooth because what it allows you to do is click on a persona and you get to see stuff about their profile, all the various different characteristics that have been created for this persona. You can do things like edit it, you can copy or export. The really cool thing about this copy too is you can copy in a couple of different formats, and then you can take this into something like ChatGPT if you wanted to and use it there. And then on the right side here, we get some different functionality that we can do with this persona. Now I've got an update persona here because this is really neat. What it allows you to do is come into here and then you can describe changes that you want to make to that persona. So for instance, Jim Chen here, right here, he's like in his mid-30s and stuff like that, right? I could just come here and click edit and then change the age myself manually. But there might be other things about the persona that relate to somebody in their age, like mid-30s, a certain amount of experience or expertise and just different things that might relate to that age. And so if I come into here and I use the update persona with AI method, I can describe what I want. I can say maybe, change Jim's age to be in his mid 40s or something. And then the AI will also not only update the age, but will also go through and make sure other things kind of fit that age range a little bit better. So it's a really interesting, a really good way to keep a persona updated or to make different changes to a persona nice and easy. The other thing here are this create with persona option. And what this does is it lets you kind of perform prompts against the persona. So like you could write something to where you want it to write something as if it were the persona, or you could have something written about the persona, anything really that you can come up with. It's just a way to run prompts. One of the things I've done in testing is right here, which generate D&D character sheets for the persona, which is kind of interesting. So you can run things here, get some content. It's kind of bespoke, one-off kind of things. And then we have chat with persona, and this is where things get kind of interesting, because it's not exactly just like a chat bot like ChatGPT is. This gives you the ability to kind of have like a story dialogue almost with the persona. We have these different options here. If you click on this, so this is what you're actually like if you're speaking directly to your persona. This is when you're telling your persona to take an action. This is when your persona is going to notice something about it. And then you have here where it's a narration for a story, or a narration of like something sort of as if you're the narrator narrating a situation for the persona that of what they're in. You can come over here, you can use text, or you can use voice to input the text if you want to. And we've got this other really cool thing up here where if we open up the settings, we have a different conversation style. So we have balance, which is kind of in the middle. But if you just want to have a straight talk with your persona, you can switch to conversational. Immersive is where you'll start getting more sort of background and story come out inside of the conversation. And conversation setup, this is kind of neat too, because if you're having a chat with your persona, there might be a certain scenario or staging that you want to set up, so you can ground your conversation with setting it up here. Like maybe you're in the coffee shop and you're with a friend or colleague. Your relationship to the persona is like maybe you're their best friend or you're their boss or whatever, right? So you can set this stuff up here. And context cards is just a way to add additional context. So if you wanted to add some details, it's just a key value thing. It's just, in AI, context is king, and this gives you the ability to add a bunch of context. Language, if you want the persona to speak back in a certain language, you can choose that here. And notes are something that's really cool. I'll take this opportunity to just go ahead and talk about notes now. Notes is just this really nice notes system where you can write down your thoughts, and a lot of people use note systems like for like a second brain. In our case, what is awesome about notes is that you can keep them here and then use them as context in various ways. In the personas tool, for instance, you can use notes here. You can just attach them and they become context for your AI. So you could attach a note there and then have a conversation with your persona with those notes available to the persona while they chat with you. So just other things up here, pretty normal common stuff. I'll just go ahead and close out of that. And so, but this is an example of how the bespoke UI thing really benefits this system, because I get to lay out this tool exactly like this. I don't have to try and jam it to fit into any other type of UI, and each one gets its own kind of unique spin. So I'm going to go back here, open up the toolbox again, and I'm going to add the YouTube chapters one. And then I can go into this tool. This is a different UI, you notice. And what this one is, it allows me to drag in some of those .srt files, which are, you can go into your YouTube channel. If you're a YouTuber, you can go in there and download the subtitles as a .srt file. And that file contains a bunch of the timings and things of when those subtitles are shown in the video. And then you can just drag them here and you'll get them turned into chapter titles. I think I've already done some. So here we go. And it'll pop out looking like this, and you can make adjustments to these titles if you want, but it generates all these for you. We can see the whole transcript here in the same sort of manner. I'm zoomed in for this video, so things are kind of overlaying a little bit, but if you click on these timings, it'll actually slide to that in the transcript. So that's pretty neat. And when I'm ready to use it inside of my YouTube videos, I can just click copy and then paste it into my YouTube video description and have chapters automatically for my video. Cool stuff. So it's like a quick utility to get that stuff done. Saves a ton of time. I'm definitely going to be using it going forward for all my videos. Probably even used it on this video if you're watching this and you see chapters. I'm going to show you one more tool, but I think you're starting to get the idea of things. This one is called the Humanizer. Just go ahead and add this here and open up the Humanizer. I've already got a content loaded here because I already had it open before this video started, but normally it would look like this when you open it. And what it allows you to do is just paste in some content that you think sounds too formal, maybe too stuffy, maybe a little AI robotic in a sense, and you'll get a humanized version of that content after you click humanize. We have a couple settings here. Notice it's using the Gemini 2.5 Flash model. If I click change model, I'm going to get the models tray slide out here on the left. Now this is a list of the models that are coming in from OpenRouter. And OpenRouter is always adding new models. You have access to hundreds of models. I think it's hundreds. It's a ton. And they just have all the different models in here. Even the new O3 Pro is available to you if you want to use it. But basically what you'll do is right now, if I click on this, it'll take me to the one that's the active model. And that's 2.5 Flash Preview. And if let's say I didn't want this one to be that, I can click here. And now notice it says, please select an AI model. Let's make sure that we pick one. Let's go to my favorites because I can favorite them. Notice the little heart icon here. If I go in here and I say maybe I want to favorite that one. Now O3 Pro is in my favorites. Let's say that we want to use Gemini 2.5 Pro instead of Flash. Let's click on there. There we go. We're using that model now. Also, I want to note in this models tray here, if you give Koubou your Ollama path and you set up the cores stuff so that Koubou has access to your Ollama, you can actually run and generate content using local models through your Ollama interface. And so I could do that here as well. I could just pick which one I want to be my active model, and then that would be used instead. Pretty cool stuff here. One of the cool toggles I like is just not show the free models, because sometimes the free models through OpenRouter can be a little bit like overwhelmed and not be reliable. But this is a cool function that you have just a ton of different models to check out. I know that sometimes, a lot of people go straight with a certain provider like OpenAI or something, but really every model kind of has its own vibe, and you might find that there's some model in here that just fits for your type of content better than others. So being able to experiment with multiple different models is really, really nice. And so that's the Humanizer tool. And I've showed you 3 different tools here. I'm going to come down here. This is that models tray, just real quick. If you wanted to open it separately from just, you don't have to access it only through the Humanizer. That's just one example, but you can check it out here. I want to show you the customizer next. The customizer is a way for you to pick sort of a primary color that becomes kind of the color theme for your workbench. And this gives you the ability to kind of choose and set things up the way that you like. So, you might change this to some sort of a greenish color, get a little brighter, and we'll change from complementary, we'll change to analogous, and we hit apply, and now our colors are like this. We also have some presets that you can choose from, like Mojito Breeze. Let's go with this, something like that. Or we can go with something bright red if you're in the mood for that. We got reset to defaults. I'll just go ahead and do that. And then what I want to show you too is if you're a designer by chance, one of the really cool things about this is what you can do is like the app has these colors applied now, and you can kind of look through these and preview things. You can be in different views, right? We can have our notes up, and you can see how it affects notes and stuff. So you can see how these colors actually look in a live app that's like, usable, not just an example mock-up or something. And then you can click on this designer mode here, and then you can copy those colors out. You can choose the different formats for the palette. You can copy them all. You can get the CSS variables for it, all kinds of stuff like that. And so the customizer is not only just a really cool way to set up your workbench to be the color combination that you prefer, but it can also be a tool for you if you're a designer. Now, these tools right here, maybe after a while, I figure out that, I'm not really using the Humanizer tool that much. I just click here, switches into this mode, and I can just remove this from my Workbench. I don't lose my content or anything. It just goes over. It's just back in the toolbox and not in my Workbench. And I can also drag and drop these to move them in the order that I prefer them to be in. And there you go. So that's the concept of Koubou. I look forward to building just a plethora of new tools over time. And one of the cool things too about this is I'm in Discord all day pretty much with users right now who are testers trying things out, but they're also giving new tool ideas. And there's going to be quite a few new tools coming up. I'm just going to go ahead and let's see, just scroll down here in the homepage a bit, go through. These are some of the tools just kind of being explained here a little. And if I get down here just a little bit more, see, we've got a tagline creator. Someone wants AI debate, where two AIs will debate about a certain topic. A writing style analyzer. Some others have asked for like a book writing tool and all kinds of stuff like that. Really what Koubou is going to be capable of is kind of endless, because I plan on adding just a whole crap load of tools. So over time, your subscription to Koubou is going to just continue to become more valuable. And what I want to show you here is the full price of Koubou is going to be $96 a year, and it is an annual subscription where you buy a license and then you use that, you activate that license inside of Koubou. But if you join if you join the wait list now, you're going to get a 25% discount, and that'll be $72 for the year. And that's just $6, a month. And that's just, it's a crazy deal. All this stuff that's going to be in here and more added over time. I think you're going to be surprised at the value this brings and the capabilities that it brings you. I didn't even show you the Smart Writers tool. Smart Writers tool just gives you full control to do, I call the Smart Writer, I call it the AI Tinkerer's Power Tool. And once you get in and you check things out, I'll even probably have a video about it before the launch. But it's a very powerful tool, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it when you get a chance to check out Koubou in the near future. I suspect within the next 2 weeks we'll probably have a launch ready. And if you get in now, just come over here to koubou.tools and drop your email in here. You'll get added to our list. I'm not going to spam you. All the emails that I'm writing you, aside from the initial one that you get right away, that one's automated. But all the emails that I write in there to you are all written by hand by me and delivered. There's no, icky kind of markety stuff going on there. It's just me communicating with you because I want to give you a good deal. I want to make sure that you're taken care of and any of your questions are answered. And even eventually at some point, if you have ideas for tools that you want to have added into Koubou, I'd like to think about those. I'm not going to guarantee that I'll add every tool that everybody asks for, but based off of my expertise and the things that I know and I know I'm capable of, and tools that I think would be really interesting to build, I will definitely take all ideas and work with them and see what I can do. But I appreciate you for watching this video this long, and until next time, take care.